Yeah.
Weezy out of here.
Back home smoking legal. I got more slaps than the Beatles. Foreign shit running on diesel, dawg. Playing with my name, that shit is lethal, dawg. Who you say you was? Don Corleone. Trust me, at the top it isn't lonely. Everybody acting like they know me, dawg. Don't just say it down, you gotta show me what you gotta do. Bring the clip back empties. You asked to see the ball, so they sent me, dawg. I just broke her off with a 10-piece, dawg. There ain't nothing, I'm just being friendly, dawg. It's just a little 10-piece for it, just to blow it in the mall. Doesn't mean that we in.
What's up, everybody? Y'all know me. I'm Dev, your neighborhood wine expert and the host at Wine and Hip Hop Los Angeles. You ever gone to the store to buy a bottle of wine and seen some wine on the shelf that's so damn expensive? I'm talking like thousands of dollars. There's a couple reasons for that. And you ask yourself, why would anybody ever pay that much for one bottle of wine? And why would any bottle of wine be that expensive anyway? The type of grape that the wine was made from, the scarcity of the wine, and the story behind the wine. So today I'm covering some wines that encompass all three of those things. I'm counting down the top 10 most expensive bottles of wine ever. Number 10 is a wine with an abbreviation that makes wine people get real thirsty real fast. Just say the letters DRC to any psalm and watch them drool. Number 10 is the 1945 Romanée-Conti DRC. Now, DRC is short for Domaine de la Romanée-Conti, an estate in Burgundy, France that's widely considered among the world's greatest wine producers. There ain't much that's average about this Pinot Noir. Hailing from the Vosne Romanée, only 600 bottles of this wine were manufactured just before a vineyard disease known as phylloxera destroyed these legendary vineyards, forcing them to not be able to produce wine for 7 years. 1945 was also when France celebrated victory in World War II, so this bottle is a little bit special. A bottle belonging to DRC's owner sold for $123,000 at an auction back in 2011. Damn. There's 7 vineyards on the legendary property, and this wine is from the smallest and lowest yielding wine vineyard on the property. Number 9 is a wine so rare, nobody even knows if the shit's real. It's a real life myth, but it's not, but it is. This is the 1787, yes, a 1787 Chateau Lafite. These were found in a cellar in Paris a few decades ago and were said to be from the personal wine collection of the 3rd US President Thomas Jefferson. The bottles even have his initials etched right on the front with the little THJ. In 1985, the founder of Forbes magazine bought a bottle for $156,000. He then put the bottle on display in a glass case under some really intense spotlights, which dried out the cork, and the cork shrunk and dropped into the bottle. The wine's new value? 0. Number 8 is an Australian wine that comes in a thing with a thing. It's the Ampoule from Australia's most famous winery, Penfolds. There's only 12 of these in the world. The Ampoule is a small container that holds a 2004 Block 42 Cabernet Sauvignon from the oldest producing Cabernet vines in the world, inside of a gorgeous container of hand-blown glass prism, inside of a wood cabinet. Retail price, $168,000, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out, if you buy a bottle, you can't even open it by yourself. It has to be opened by breaking off the end, so the winery sends a representative to your house to open it for you. Number 7 is another Thomas Jefferson special. Another 1787 wine from Chateau Margaux, the famed Bordeaux estate, was also said to belong to Mr. President and wine collector extraordinaire, Thomas Jefferson. This bottle was purchased for around $225,000. In 1989, the gentleman who actually bought it brought it to the Four Seasons in Manhattan to drink it. That night he set it on the table, bumped into the table, and broke it, no cap. They later tried to auction off the broken bottle, but no one bought it. Womp womp, sad ending. At number 6, we have the 1869 Chateau Lafite Rothschild. This bottle went up for sale at an auction in Hong Kong where auctioneers were expecting somewhere around $8,000 for it. What they didn't know is that in Asia, the Lafite is recognized as an extremely rare luxury item. Well, sure, but nobody knew that one bottle that night will sell for $230,000. The Lafite is known as a first growth Bordeaux, one of 5 chateaus in Bordeaux to hold that crown. So it's common for winemakers to age their wine in bottles for several years, but this next wine on the list has been resting in its bottle for 80 years underwater. Yep, the shipwrecked 1907 Heisig. The story goes that back in 1916 during World War I, these bottles were on a ship that was intended for Nicholas II, the last Tsar of Russia, when it was hit with a torpedo from a German submarine and sank. The bottles were underwater at freezing temperatures, exposed to zero sunlight until 1997, when the wreckage was discovered and the bottles were recovered. Each bottle was priced at $275,000. Nothing good happens when you put ice in your wine, ever. Unless it's the 1947 Chateau Cheval Blanc, considered by many to be the greatest Bordeaux wine ever produced, even though the crazy hot summer that year in 1947 produced high residual sugar, and the fermentation process got so hot that they had to put ice in the wine. The result is a taste that can never really be replicated and never really should be replicated. Sold at auction for $304,000, this wine price actually gets an asterisk because it was a 6-liter bottle, and more wine will always mean a higher price. Nevertheless, the 47 Cheval Blanc sits at number 4 on our list. Down to our top 3 most expensive wines ever, we're gonna go back to Bordeaux to talk about a wine from one of the most legendary vintages ever. The 1945 Mouton Rothschild. As I mentioned earlier, the same year that France celebrated victory in World War II, signified by the little Année de la Victoire on the label, meaning the year of victory, with the little V for victory right there on the bottle. There's not a more iconic wine vintage or iconic family than this wine right here. A 3-liter Jeroboam of this wine sold in 2007 for $310,000. Again, I'm giving this wine an asterisk on the list because it's a 3-liter large format bottle, but I'm not taking away from the dopeness and history behind this wine. At number 2, we're bringing the show to the West Coast, baby. Oakville, California, Napa Valley. The 1992 Screaming Eagle Cabernet Sauvignon, the leader of the cult Napa Cab movement. The 1992 was actually the first vintage ever released by this winery, and the wine was rated 99 points that year, and from there the Eagle took flight. Since then, it's been one of the most highly allocated, highly sought after wines in the world, and small quantities produced by this winery keeps the supply and demand scales tipped in their favor. Ready for the price? Again, another large format bottling. In 2000, a bottle sold for an unbelievable $500,000, $500,000 at a charity auction. Screaming Eagle is still extremely hard to come by and still produces very, very small amounts of wine. The number 1 most expensive bottle of wine ever in the world is actually the same bottle of wine from number 10 on the countdown, except this time the price is just a little bit different. Number 10 on the countdown was a 1945 DRC Romanée-Conti that sold for $123,000 at an auction back in 2011. Well, 7 years later in 2018, 2 more bottles appeared on the market for auction, this time from personal collection belonging to a man named Joseph Drouhin, the head of one of the most legendary Burgundy producers ever. So whomever missed out on the bottles from the first auction, made sure they didn't miss out on these, and 1 bottle of the 1945 DRC sold for a record $558,000, the most that anyone has ever paid for a bottle of wine. Now, DRCs are well known to be counterfeited. A lot of fake bottles pop up on the market, but being that this was in Joseph Drouhin's personal cellar, it gives the buyer the ultimate guarantee of authenticity. So basically, when you start talking about these crazy expensive bottles of wine, Pinot Noirs, Chardonnays, Cabernets are the ones that hold their value typically for the longest time. Scarcity of wine really matters. So a lot of wineries produce small quantities of wine for various reasons, but anytime that you create a quality wine and there's not a lot of it, you'll always have supply and demand scales tipped in your favor, and you'll always have a wine that somebody wants. And the very last thing is the story behind the wine. Tell me a cool story, it's gonna raise the value of the wine, point blank. This has been Why Is This Shit So Expensive? Go check out our Instagram page. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any dope content. Cheers.
Back home smoking legal. I got more slaps than the Beatles. Foreign shit running on diesel, dog. Playing with my name, that shit is lethal, dog. Who you say you was? Don Corleone. Trust me, at the top it isn't lonely.